Buddhism is often described as the religion of no religion, the unique phenomenon in the history of human consciousness. When we hear the word religion, we usually think of belief in a creator God, in an eternal soul that survives death, or in metaphysical systems beyond experience. Yet Buddhism chooses a different path. The Buddha did not ask us to believe in what we cannot see, nor did he impose an unchanging dogma to be accepted blindly. Instead, he invited us to return to the present moment, to observe life as it truly is, to look directly at suffering and the conditions that give rise to it, and to recognize impermanence flowing through every breath. Because of this, Buddhism does not rely on blind faith. Its foundation lies in realization, where each person verifies the truth through direct experience. What makes Buddhism distinctive is its non-metaphysical nature. There is no creator placed at the center of existence, no eternal soul to cling to, only the continuous unfolding of dependent origination, where everything arises in mutual dependence. While many religions emphasize salvation from outside, Buddhism shows that liberation must begin from within, through awakening and transformation of the mind. Here, one does not need to believe first in order to see, but must see in order to truly believe. Faith in Buddhism is not unconditional acceptance, but trust grounded in direct vision and personal experience. This approach makes Buddhism unlike conventional religions and closer to a way of life, a path of practice. To call Buddhism the religion of no religion is to emphasize that although it holds deep spirituality, it does not rest on worship or petition. Spirituality in Buddhism is not waiting for supernatural intervention, but the opening of the eyes to see impermanence, suffering, and non-self directly. It is this journey of awakening that forms the essence of Buddhist teaching. The Buddha often reminded us that he was merely a guide. The path is not to be worshipped, but to be walked. As we walk it, every step becomes evidence. When we sit in mindfulness and observe the breath, we see birth and death in every moment. When we listen to the song of a bird or watch a flower fall, we may touch the fullness of reality. Such experiences require no metaphysical belief, only the stillness to see clearly. For this reason, Buddhism can be embraced in any culture. The Western mind, trained in analysis and experimentation, finds in Buddhism a method of observing consciousness, almost like a science of the mind. The Eastern spirit, steeped in spirituality, recognizes in it a path of liberation independent of any divine power. This harmony makes Buddhism a rare phenomenon, at once deeply philosophical and eminently practical, free of dogma, yet rich in spiritual nourishment. Looking back at the history of human thought, few religions have been built so entirely upon direct experience. Buddhism does not ask who God is or what the soul may be, but instead asks, why do we suffer, and how can we be free? This is a question close to every human heart. By answering it, Buddhism speaks directly to life itself, transcending the boundaries of conventional religion. It is a religion because it touches the sacred and profound dimensions of being, but it is also a no religion because it constructs no metaphysical refuge. Instead, it returns us to life itself, here and now, where truth is already shining, if we are willing to see.
Since the dawn of thought, human beings have faced an existential anxiety. What is the meaning of life? Where do we come from, and where will we go? Looking into the infinite universe and realizing how brief and fragile our lives are, we easily fall into fear. Out of this fear, humanity has created images to cling to, inner supports meant to soothe anxiety. Among them, God has become the strongest symbol, an invisible hand imagined as providing protection, bringing order and purpose to existence. When we believe in a creator, we can attribute every event to divine will, and in this way, the chaos and randomness of life appear less threatening. Yet God is only one of the many supports humanity has invented for comfort. In philosophy and science, we also find similar models. At times, history has been viewed as a necessary flow, inevitably guiding humankind toward a shared goal. At other times, the unconscious has been described as a hidden force shaping much of human behavior, and natural selection has been seen as the ultimate principle, explaining why life exists and evolves. All of these, whether expressed in faith or theory, serve a common function: to make us feel less lost in the universe, less shaken before uncertainty. But the Buddha saw through the essence of these supports. He taught that they, no matter how lofty, are only concepts born of imagination and fear. They may provide temporary relief, but they cannot uproot the deeper anxiety in the human heart. For the root of fear does not lie in lacking a guiding principle, but in our unwillingness to face reality directly. Life is impermanent, suffering is present, and no permanent self stands behind experience. When we cling to God or to any doctrine, we cover over this direct seeing, and anxiety continues to wait in the shadows. The Buddha's path is completely different. He did not construct a metaphysical world to console us, nor did he hand us an eternal theory to lean upon. He simply invited us to observe life as it unfolds in the present moment. When we breathe, we can see impermanence at work. When we feel joy or sorrow, we can see them arise and vanish. When we search for a self in our consciousness, we find only the fragile interplay of body, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. This direct seeing alone can free us from fear, for it does not rest on illusion, but on truth itself. At first, facing emptiness may seem terrifying, yet if we have the courage to look closely, we discover that emptiness is not nothingness, but the open space of freedom. When we are no longer bound by metaphysical concepts, we see life flowing naturally, luminous and whole, without any need for artificial supports. And within this seeing, a profound peace arises, not granted by God, nor delivered by theory, but born from living fully with reality as it is.
The Buddha left us with a timeless call. Be courageous in facing the truth. Do not hide behind doctrines or dogmas. When we avoid reality, we only build more walls that obscure our vision, leaving the truth beyond our reach. Philosophical systems and religious creeds, no matter how grand they appear, can never replace direct experience. The Buddha reminded us that no one can walk this path for us. No God can grant salvation, no doctrine can rescue us. Only the awakening of our own mind can illumine the darkness. Thus, he urged us to kindle the flame of wisdom within ourselves. This flame is not lit by blind faith or by complex reasoning, but by direct seeing of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. Once kindled, it becomes a light no one can extinguish, for it is nourished by the reality of lived experience. The Buddha often used the image of a guide. He did not present himself as a savior, but as one who knew the way and pointed it out. The path remains there, yet it is up to us to walk it. If we stop only to admire the map or cling to the descriptions, we will never arrive. Only by walking, step by step in mindfulness, moment by moment observing birth and death, do we truly see the path. And in that seeing, the flame of wisdom within us shines bright. This call is not only for monks or nuns, but for everyone. In daily life, we too can practice facing the truth. When suffering arises, instead of rushing to escape, we can pause and observe it. When joy comes, instead of clinging, we can recognize that it too will pass. Every experience becomes an opportunity for wisdom to grow if we are brave enough to look directly. Avoidance only thickens the darkness, while courage allows the light to arise from within. That flame of wisdom does not shine only for ourselves, but also for those around us. When our mind is calm and clear, we become a source of comfort, a guiding light for others. This is the true power of awakening, not supernatural miracles, but the capacity to share the light born of truth. And so the Buddha's call still echoes today. Be courageous, light your own flame. Do not let the darkness of ignorance blind your eyes.
The enlightenment of the Buddha is one of the most radiant symbols in the history of human spirituality. Before awakening, he explored the two extremes where people often stumble. On one side was indulgence in pleasure, the belief that sensory delights could bring lasting happiness. Yet after living in palaces filled with luxury, he realized such pleasures were fleeting, leaving only emptiness behind. On the other side was extreme asceticism, subjecting the body to severe hardship in the hope that the spirit would transcend. But after years of exhausting austerities, he saw that this path too led only to weakness, not to liberating wisdom. Neither way could open the door to the end of suffering.
From these lived experiences, the Buddha discovered a new way, the middle path. The middle path is not a compromise between indulgence and asceticism, but a transcendence of both, a return to the natural balance of body and mind. It is a way that provides the body with what is necessary without indulgence, and trains the mind through mindfulness and meditation without harsh repression. The middle path is the abandonment of clinging and rejection, living instead in mindful awareness of the present reality. Then, beneath the Bodhi tree, with unwavering determination and deep meditation, the Buddha awakened. He saw clearly the workings of all phenomena, that everything arises through conditions, that all things are impermanent, and that no fixed self lies behind experience. In seeing dependent origination and non-self, all the chains of bondage fell away. That night, a human being became the awakened one, opening the way of liberation for humanity. This awakening was not a mystical event, but a total clarity. It demonstrated that wisdom does not come from blind faith, nor from harsh austerities, but from direct, vivid seeing of the truth of life. The flame of wisdom kindled under the Bodhi tree continues to shine, reminding us that here, within this human existence, with this very breath and mind, liberation is possible if we walk the path of awakening.
In Buddhist teaching, we often hear of the 6 realms of existence: hell, hungry ghosts, animals, asuras, humans, and gods. Many imagine these as otherworldly places somewhere in the universe, yet their deeper meaning lies in the psychological states we pass through every day. Hell is not only a fiery pit after death, but the burning state of mind consumed by hatred and anger, where one is imprisoned in the flames of one's own rage. Hungry ghosts are not just mythical figures of endless hunger, but the state of insatiable greed, never satisfied, always craving, even when surrounded by abundance. The animal realm is not only external creatures, but the condition of ignorance, living unawakened, driven by instinct and fear, lacking the capacity to see deeply. The Asura realm is not only warlike deities, but the moments when we are consumed by jealousy, competition, and the urge to dominate with strength. The human realm is when we experience both joy and suffering, a rare and precious realm offering the chance to practice and transform, balancing light and shadow. The heavenly realm is when the mind is light, blissful, and filled with joy through virtue and wholesome deeds, though even heaven is impermanent and can collapse if one is not mindful. Seen through the lens of psychology, we realize the 6 realms are not far away. They dwell within our own mind. A single thought of anger opens the gates of hell. When greed arises, the hungry ghost appears. When ignorance veils us, the animal realm manifests. When jealousy and ambition surge, the asura takes shape. When we live with mindfulness and compassion, we abide in the human realm. And when we rest in joy and virtue, we taste the heavenly realm. The 6 realms serve as mirrors of the mind, reminding us that each moment of living is a choice. With awareness, we can recognize where we are, and with wisdom, we can step out of this inner cycle of samsara. The Buddha taught that practice is not about fleeing from the 6 realms, but about seeing clearly that they are created by the mind. When the mind transforms, so does the realm. A person trapped in the hell of anger with a single thought of compassion closes the gates of hell. A person consumed by the hunger of craving with the insight of contentment dissolves the hungry ghost. Thus, the 6 realms are never fixed. They shift according to the flow of thought. By seeing this truth, we kindle wisdom, no longer imprisoned by our own inner samsara, and gradually walk the path of liberation.
Zen is often described as the direct path, guiding practitioners back to life as it is, in the present moment. Instead of relying on complex theories or layers of abstract philosophy, Zen employs simple yet powerful tools, koans, haiku, and images from everyday life. A koan is a paradoxical question or story that blocks logical reasoning, leaving the conceptual mind without ground to stand on, and in that very space, awakening may occur. One famous koan asks, "What is the sound of one hand clapping?" A question that appears meaningless, but forces us to leave dualistic thinking and touch reality directly beyond words. Alongside this, haiku, short 3-line poems, serve as another gateway. A falling blossom, a bird's song, a drop of dew resting on a leaf. Such ordinary images in the Zen gaze become doors into the miracle of the present moment. No explanation, no analysis is needed, only presence, only direct contact with life as it unfolds. Haiku reminds us that truth is not distant, but already here, revealed in the smallest details of daily life. This spirit makes Zen unique. It dismantles clinging to concepts and language, returning us to vivid experience. Instead of asking, "What is the meaning of life?" Zen invites us to drink a cup of tea and fully taste it. Instead of debating impermanence, Zen simply shows us a yellow leaf drifting in the wind. In such direct seeing, wisdom is ignited, and we realize that liberation is not a distant idea, but freedom already present in each moment. The Buddha once said, "The finger pointing to the moon is not the moon." Zen lives this truth completely. Scriptures, concepts, doctrines, all are only fingers pointing. If we cling to the finger, we will never see the moonlight. Zen reminds us to turn toward the open sky, where truth shines without the need for any conceptual frame. This is the direct path, simple yet profound, returning us to life in its wholeness and freedom, here and now. The Bodhisattva ideal in Buddhism is a deeply inspiring reminder of compassion and wisdom. A bodhisattva is not a distant supernatural being, but a symbol of one who has touched enlightenment, yet chooses not to abandon the world. Instead, they return to everyday life, blending in as ordinary people, bringing the light of compassion to the suffering of others. Enlightenment does not become an escape, but the very force that fuels love and support. A bodhisattva does not stand apart from life, nor place themselves above others, but walks among people with an open heart, seeing another's pain as their own, and another's joy as their joy. What defines the bodhisattva ideal is the union of wisdom and compassion. Having realized non-self, a bodhisattva is no longer bound by a narrow ego, and therefore their heart opens without limit. They do not seek happiness only for themselves, for they know true happiness cannot be separated from the happiness of all. The presence of a bodhisattva in daily life may be very simple: a timely word of comfort, a gesture of generosity, a listening ear without judgment. Each has the power to heal, for they arise from a heart illuminated by wisdom and love. The image of the bodhisattva reminds us that enlightenment is not about retreating into mountains or dwelling in some distant realm, but about living fully in the ordinary world with a free spirit. A bodhisattva may wear the robe of a monk, but may also appear as a parent, a friend, or a companion. Every action becomes a practice when infused with the spirit of compassion. In helping someone through suffering, the bodhisattva does not see themselves as a benefactor, but as inseparable from the one they help. In this sense, the bodhisattva ideal is not reserved only for monks and nuns, but is an invitation to everyone. Each of us can live the spirit of the bodhisattva if we open our hearts to the suffering of others, if we bring even a small measure of insight to ease the world's pain. A smile, a kind act, a moment of genuine listening, all are bodhisattva steps in this world. When we live in this way, we not only free ourselves, but also become an extension of compassion, helping to lessen the darkness of this world.
Zen practice in daily life is not about seeking mystical states or escaping reality, but about returning to observe the movements of the mind amid ordinary living. First, Zen invites us to look directly at the nature of desire. Every desire rises like a wave, promising fulfillment. Yet, once satisfied, another quickly arises. The more we chase, the more we see it is an endless cycle. Like drinking seawater, the more we drink, the thirstier we become. By seeing the insatiable nature of desire, we can finally smile and let go, no longer dragged along by it. Along with this, Zen teaches us to release our grip on emotions. When joy arises, if we cling, we fear its loss. When sorrow comes, if we resist, we deepen our pain. Zen reminds us that emotions are like waves on the surface of the mind's ocean. They arise and inevitably dissolve. When we sit and observe without judgment, without chasing after them, both joy and sorrow become lessons of awareness.
In this seeing, we are no longer victims of emotions, but calm witnesses. Most importantly, Zen invites us to nurture presence in the smallest acts. When washing dishes, just wash dishes. When drinking tea, just drink tea. When listening, just listen. The miracle of life is not at some distant goal, but right here in every breath, every step, every simple act. Zen practice does not require us to abandon daily life. On the contrary, daily life becomes the fertile ground where we plant seeds of mindfulness. A smile offered to a passerby, a single mindful breath, a moment free of hurry, all of these are living Zen. Through such practice, we gradually free ourselves from the grip of desire and emotion. The mind grows lighter and clearer. This serene presence not only brings peace to ourselves, but radiates outward. One who lives with mindfulness and awareness becomes a source of calm energy, helping others find grounding in their own breath and steps. This is the spirit of Zen, not distant, not complicated, but simple, profound, and deeply transformative. In modern life, the spirit of Zen has stepped out of monasteries and flowed into many fields, from art and meditation to science and psychological healing. In art, Zen offers a vision of simplicity and subtlety. A brushstroke in ink wash painting, a silent rock garden, or a short haiku can convey profound beauty without words. In Zen art, beauty does not come from ornamentation, but from spaciousness, inviting the mind of the beholder to touch the silence within. In meditation practice, Zen provides a direct path that returns us to the breath, the step, and the gestures of daily living. Today, Zen meditation has become a widely applied method for stress reduction, mental health, and nurturing mindfulness amid the pressures of modern life. Zen has also opened a dialogue with science. Neuroscientific research has shown that Zen practice can reshape the brain, enhancing concentration and emotional regulation. These discoveries reveal that Zen is not only a spiritual tradition, but also a scientific method for training the mind and improving life. Zen has become a bridge between East and West, between spirituality and science, showing how the ancient wisdom of Buddhism can harmonize with modern inquiry to create rich applications. Most notably, Zen is being increasingly applied in mental healing. Mindfulness practices, inspired by Zen, have proven effective in helping people sleep better, release stress, and calm anxiety. In sleep, Zen's gentle awareness flows like cool water, bringing rest to the restless mind. Beyond sleep, Zen transforms the way we listen and communicate. To listen in the Zen spirit is not to react, but to be fully present for the other, to truly see and understand them. To communicate in the Zen spirit is not to win arguments, but to share understanding and compassion. Zen also inspires a minimalist way of living, teaching us to let go of the unnecessary and return to what is essential. Minimalism here is not only about fewer possessions, but also about simplicity of mind. Fewer desires, fewer attachments, leaving space for freedom and serenity. In a world growing ever more complex, the Zen spirit is like a pause for breath, helping us recover balance and stillness. In this way, the modern applications of Zen do not dilute its essence, but bring it closer, infusing its timeless wisdom into every moment of life. Buddhism closes with a message both simple and revolutionary. It does not promise heaven after death, nor does it construct the image of a God to comfort us in times of fear. Instead, it invites us to live mindfully in each breath, to face impermanence with courage, and to transform daily life itself into the path. Enlightenment is not a distant realm, nor a reward reserved only for saints, but a light that can arise in the most ordinary of moments. When we wash dishes with a calm mind, when we listen to a bird's song without adding thoughts, when we walk through the marketplace with a free spirit and a compassionate heart, at that moment we are already touching awakening. The uniqueness of Buddhism lies in the fact that it does not demand that we abandon the world or depend on any supernatural power. It simply reminds us to return to the truth shining right before our eyes. Seeing impermanence, we learn to cherish life. Seeing suffering, we learn to nurture compassion. Seeing non-self, we release attachment and open our hearts wide. These insights are not found elsewhere, but within everyday life. In each breath, each step, each simple smile. Enlightenment, in the Buddhist spirit, is not a destination to wait for in the future, but the way we walk the path now. It is not a grand prize after years of searching, but the awakening that appears whenever we are fully present. Washing dishes while knowing we are washing dishes. Eating while knowing we are eating. Listening with the whole heart. These are the humble yet profound practices that open the door to freedom. When we live in this way, life itself becomes the path, with no divide between the sacred and the ordinary. This final message reminds us that liberation is never far away. It does not need to be found in books, nor postponed to another lifetime, but is already present in every moment of living. If we return, if we live with mindfulness and a compassionate heart, then wherever we stand becomes the Buddha's land. Any moment we awaken is a moment of enlightenment. And this is what makes Buddhism such an intimate path, one that anyone can walk, here and now, within the fabric of ordinary life.